What's going on, guys? It's your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another one. Now, I know a lot of you guys probably heard about this story already, but this one is a shocker to me because for the simple fact, I thought the media rights deal was signed, sealed, and delivered. It was over. They got their little $2 billion, went on about their business. I'm here to tell you that is not the case with the WNBA. Now they're seeking more money. Why is this? Now, everybody been reporting all across the board how the ratings is slowly dipping. There's a dip in the ratings. Not a big dip.
She finally spoke out. Cathy Engelbert openly suggested to the public that the rise of Caitlin Clark was not the main driver behind the league's massive new financial breakthrough. After months of carrying the entire WNBA on her shoulders, Caitlin had to watch the commissioner claim all the credit for a historic $3 billion contract. A heavy silence followed from Caitlin's inner circle, until information began to surface about how the league truly values her impact. It felt like much more than a simple insult. It was a complete invalidation of the most powerful economic force women's athletics has ever witnessed. Now, the resulting friction threatens to shatter the league's new foundation before the contract is even finalized.
Everybody been reporting all across the board how the ratings is slowly dipping. There's a dip in the ratings. Not a big dip, but a dip that is very noticeable. Now, I'm here to tell you, Indiana Fever season tickets look a little dippy too. People can say what they want. Granted, now the home opener game was pretty good. It was a good attendance. Can't say nothing bad about it. Will it be like this for the duration of the season? See, that's the point. Now, the Indiana Fever is headed to LA for their next game. Will that game be sold out? I don't know. Will they next game?
The financial figures currently being discussed are absolutely breathtaking, but the underlying lack of respect is even more troubling. We are looking at an 11-year media rights package that has surged past the $3 billion mark. Virtually everyone understands that this revenue would not exist without number 22 playing on the court. Yet the story coming out of the corporate office paints a completely different picture. Management wants the public to believe this was part of a long-term strategy that would have succeeded no matter who entered the draft. It is a blatant misrepresentation that completely disregards every metric recorded over the past year. If Caitlin Clark does not take the floor, those executive meeting rooms remain empty and those massive deals never get finalized. Reports indicate interest has fallen off noticeably, not just by a small fraction.
A couple million. I probably lost 2 to 3 million views a month since Caitlin Clark got hurt. A month. 2 to 3 million a month. We're talking real numbers, bro. Now, if I'm getting hit like that, could you imagine what the WNBA feel like? I'm losing that a month. They probably losing that a day per all the games. Or even more than that. Now, that being said, they know the end could possibly be near. So
the financial figures currently being discussed are absolutely breathtaking, but the underlying lack of respect is even more troubling. We are looking at an 11-year media rights package that has surged past the $3 billion mark. Virtually everyone understands that this revenue would not exist without number 22 playing on the court. Yet the story coming out of the corporate office paints a completely different picture. Management wants the public to believe this was part of a long-term strategy that would have succeeded no matter who entered the draft. It is a blatant misrepresentation that completely disregards every metric recorded over the past year. If Caitlin Clark does not take the floor, those executive meeting rooms remain empty and those massive deals never get finalized. Reports indicate interest has fallen off noticeably, not just by a small fraction.
All it is that I believe they gave her the more damn money. Now, shout out to Fox News, man. Stated the WNBA media rights deal balloons past $3 million after adding new broadcast partners to an 11-year portfolio. Boy, I would sure like to know the inner workings of that. 11 years? Nah. I just gotta be honest, man. If Caitlin Clark don't win a championship either this year or next year, it's over, bro. Y'all just signed an 11-year, $3
Cathy Engelbert was direct when addressing the new television rights agreement, and her remarks have caused major waves across the league's locker rooms. She pointed out that when she first took charge, the league was featured in only 15 nationally broadcast games, whereas now they are looking at more than 200. She is celebrating this expanded reach as a personal victory while ignoring the reality that audiences are not tuning in for the WNBA logo itself. They are tuning in exclusively for Caitlin. By attempting to present this as a corporate milestone rather than a player-driven phenomenon, she is effectively telling the league's top athletes that their personal sponsorships and individual drawing power matter less than her executive management.
Nah, I just gotta be honest, man. If Caitlin Clark don't win a championship either this year or next year, it's over, bro. Y'all just signed an 11-year, $3 billion contract. Ain't no way. Instead of USA Network, CBS, and Ion, Disney, NBC Universal, Amazon, all join the league, man. Crazy work. The WNBA media rights deal just got even bigger. Less than 2 years after the league announced a record.
The tension behind closed doors is reaching a critical state because the league is behaving as though their victory is already secured. The annual value of the media rights package just skyrocketed from $43 million to an incredible $281 million. That represents a financial surge most corporations can only dream of, but it is resting on a highly unstable foundation. If you analyze the data carefully, casual viewers are already beginning to tune out. There is a clear drop-off in the initial excitement, and it points straight to how leadership and coaching staffs are managing their most valuable asset. If they continue to treat Caitlin as if she is just an ordinary athlete, this financial bubble will inevitably pop.
For the league that, according to Kathy Engelbert, had barely had any national televised games when she took over. Bro, Kathy Engelbert is trying to take credit for what Caitlin Clark has done? Are you serious? Y'all know damn well y'all wouldn't have got none of this money if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark coming to your league. Since I took over. Wow. I'm damn near lost for words. Goes on to say,
the actual situation on the ground is far more alarming than official corporate announcements indicate. Content creators who have dedicated years to covering the league are reporting massive drops in their engagement metrics. We are seeing a loss of 2 to 3 million views per month simply because the enthusiasm surrounding Caitlin Clark is being actively suppressed. If independent digital media platforms are absorbing that kind of a blow, one can only imagine how damaging the league's confidential internal data looks right now. They are alienating the exact audience they worked so desperately to attract, and rather than improving the fan experience, executives are celebrating a financial deal that has not even taken effect yet.
To watch the WNBA, but I'm trying to see how all of this is going to play out. Because Kathy Engelbert slighted Caitlin Clark. Then it goes on to say, Engelbert addresses those frustrations during a recent conversation with Sports Business Journal. She stated, I'm not running one of those media companies so I could fix the cost thing. Engelbert stated, the WNBA is not unique in this battle. It's free market that the U.S. has in the media market because there's a lot of participants. She also admitted, I think I paid for 18 subscriptions and I still haven't.
One of the most startling pieces of information to emerge is how leadership views the personal sponsorship deals of its athletes. There is a rising belief that the front office looks at these individual contracts as practically meaningless when compared to the league-wide television revenue. They want total authority over both the public narrative and the cash flow, which creates a difficult environment for any player whose personal brand outgrows the WNBA itself. Caitlin Clark entered the league with a commercial profile that completely eclipsed the organization's entire marketing budget, yet instead of capitalizing on it, leadership seems intent on minimizing her impact. This approach is a clear path to trouble that could ultimately alienate the sport's biggest attractions.
I think this could be a recipe for disaster. Because if Caitlin Clark is not balling out, which we all know, Stephanie White has got her sabotage hat on. She sabotaged. Indiana Fever sabotage. I do not see this thing ending well. I can't wait to see the viewership numbers. Hopefully, when we see the viewership numbers from last game versus the Dallas Wings. Because as of right now, I don't believe any viewership numbers has been released.
The timing of these executive remarks could not be worse, particularly given the recent struggles of the Indiana Fever. Serious rumors are circulating regarding internal friction stemming from the coaching staff. When Stephanie White's name enters these conversations, it raises valid questions about whether there is an intentional effort to prevent Caitlin from performing at her highest level. If she is not allowed to dominate on the court, the league loses its primary source of leverage, yet it appears certain individuals would prefer to see the organization stumble rather than allow a single player to hold all the influence. It is a highly risky game of professional ego that could ultimately cost everyone billions of dollars over time. Let us look at the actual financial burden placed on the audience, because this is where corporate self-interest becomes undeniable. Engelbert openly shared that she personally subscribes to 18 different platforms and still maintains her traditional cable package. Now, she expects everyday fans to take on that same financial burden just to follow their preferred teams. The league is scattering its broadcast schedule across Disney, NBC, Amazon, the USA Network, and several others. They are making it more complicated and costly than ever to be a supporter. They are pursuing immediate revenue from network executives while completely overlooking the viewer experience. If the public cannot easily locate the broadcasts, they simply will not watch, regardless of how lucrative the contract sounds. Management is currently celebrating the fact that over 65% of their games are scheduled for national broadcast, but that statistic presents a significant risk. If you present a product on national television that feels manufactured or where the primary star is being minimized, you are merely demonstrating to the public that you lack a clear strategy. The opening home game saw impressive ticket sales, but long-term viability remains the true test. Will arenas remain packed once the initial excitement fades away? If television ratings continue their downward trend, these major networks will begin to question why they committed to an 11-year deal for a product that struggles to maintain viewer interest. Caitlin Clark's camp finally broke their silence when internal details leaked regarding how her commercial value was being characterized in executive sessions. It is increasingly apparent that a deep rift exists between the athletes who actually generate public interest and the executives who wish to take the credit for it. The commissioner asserts that the WNBA is now going head-to-head with the NHL and MLB for media prominence, but that claim looks like pure fantasy when evaluating actual fan engagement. Professional baseball possesses a century of tradition and a massive, daily viewing audience that women's basketball has barely begun to reach. Making that comparison today is not just overly optimistic, it is completely unrealistic. The most offensive aspect of the commissioner's position is the claim that this transformation occurred because of her leadership. She is essentially attempting to downplay the impact of the most impactful rookie class in history to protect her personal corporate record. 12. Every available metric, from merchandise sales and ticket pricing to digital engagement, points squarely to a single athlete. To sit before the public and argue that she revolutionized media rights by partnering with platforms like Ion and Scripps is completely disingenuous. Those broadcasting networks came to the table because they witnessed the massive television ratings Caitlin Clark generated in college and wanted to capitalize on that momentum. Without her presence, they would not even be engaging in these discussions. We are witnessing a massive divide between the corporate branch of the sport and the actual reality on the hardwood. The league is cheering a revenue surge from $43 million to nearly $300 million annually, yet the players are left dealing with the exact same structural challenges. 13. If this influx of capital does not lead to improved travel accommodations, higher player salaries, and better promotional support for individual stars, then what was the objective? This 11-year agreement feels like a system built to preserve the status quo while top executives secure their performance bonuses. It is completely understandable why so much resentment is building behind the scenes right now. The viewing public is beginning to notice the patterns of internal pushback as well. It goes far beyond mere minutes on the floor or tactical coaching adjustments. It concerns the foundational atmosphere of the organization. When a commissioner speaks more passionately about her 18 streaming accounts than she does about the talent of her roster, it proves management's priorities are entirely misplaced. 14. The WNBA has an extraordinary window of opportunity to cement itself as a premier sports entity, but leadership is operating like a small enterprise that just won a sudden windfall. They are allocating funds before they have genuinely secured long-term stability, and that represents an incredibly dangerous approach to managing a professional athletic organization. If Caitlin Clark does not secure a championship or completely dominate the competition within the next 2 seasons, this entire $3 billion framework could fall apart. The television networks invested in the transcendent star, not the corporate branding. If the league permits coaching staffs to limit her play, or if inconsistent officiating remains a constant issue, the audience will simply walk away. 15. We have seen this narrative unfold in other professional sports when a rare phenomenon is mismanaged by the governing body. The WNBA simply cannot afford to let Caitlin become a story of unfulfilled potential just because leadership was too proud to give her the reins. The comparison to Major League Baseball highlights exactly how out of touch executive management has become. Baseball enthusiasts are among the most dedicated loyalists in sports, supporting their franchises day in and day out across a grueling 162-game calendar. Meanwhile, the WNBA is finding it difficult to hold public attention for a brief 40-game schedule. Rather than boasting that they share the same stage, leadership should focus on why their viewership is dropping during the most critical moment in league history. They are so distracted by broadcast exposure percentages that they are failing to ensure the on-court product is actually worth watching. Reports indicate that Caitlin's team is absolutely furious about the dismissive attitude toward her personal commercial reach. They are fully aware that she is the direct reason corporate giants like State Farm, Gatorade, and Nike committed major capital in a way the league office never could achieve on its own. For the commissioner to suggest that the league's national exposure is the primary driver of this success completely reverses the truth. It is the star power of the athletes that gives these networks value, not the other way around. If the front office persists in minimizing these individual corporate partnerships, they may find their premier talent exploring options elsewhere much sooner than anticipated. A perfect storm for failure is currently gathering within the WNBA, and it is being driven by the exact leaders tasked with ensuring its success. When you pair soaring streaming costs and declining viewership with an executive team that claims credit for player-driven growth, you create an incredibly unhealthy cultural environment. The casual sports fans who joined the movement during the college tournament are already drifting away because navigating the WNBA viewing experience is so disorganized and deeply frustrating. They tuned in to watch the generational icon they fell in love with, not to receive corporate presentations on television distribution and market dynamics. The upcoming batches of television ratings will easily be the most critical metrics in the history of the sport. If matchups against franchises like the Dallas Wings fail to demonstrate a clear upward trajectory in viewership, leadership will face an immediate crisis. Management is gambling everything on the theory that more media partners automatically equals greater public engagement, but widespread visibility means nothing if audiences dislike the product on display. If the performance on the court remains erratic and top talent is continuously restricted, no amount of money from Disney or Amazon can protect them from a sharp decline in genuine fan devotion. Caitlin Clark has conducted herself with complete professionalism throughout this entire situation, but every athlete has a limit to what they will tolerate. To serve as the catalyst for an entire movement only to be told your impact is merely a piece of a pre-existing corporate plan is bound to frustrate anyone. She chose to stay quiet for a significant period, but the strain is finally starting to show. Her advisors are beginning to understand that leadership may be far more focused on restricting her influence than they are on expanding the game alongside her. If that dynamic proves true, the connection between the league's most bankable asset and its executive branch is on a direct path toward a major confrontation. We are looking at a realistic scenario where the WNBA could completely alienate its entire newly acquired audience in just a single calendar year. The startling declarations made by the commissioner are more than just bad phrasing. They reveal a corporate culture that values the institution far above the individual performers who make it successful. It is the same old corporate narrative of management attempting to prove they are more critical to success than the actual talent. In professional sports, that is a position that loses every single time. Basketball fans do not purchase arena tickets to watch the commissioner sit courtside. They purchase them to witness the spectacular moments that occur whenever Caitlin Clark handles the ball. This 11-year media package represents a massive gamble. While it offers a temporary financial cushion, it simultaneously eliminates the urgency for the organization to address its broken internal culture. Executives believe they are secure for the next decade, but 11 years represents an eternity in modern media. If they lose their core audience today, They will be staging games in vacant arenas for a very long time. Those dismissive executive comments may very well have been the spark that ignites a larger conflict. And if leadership fails to start treating its athletes with genuine appreciation, they will quickly discover the true worth of those downplayed personal endorsements. As the sport moves forward, the primary question is clear. Will the WNBA truly lean into the Caitlin Clark phenomenon, or will they persist in claiming authorship over a fire they had no part in starting? The audience is paying close attention, the corporate sponsors are evaluating, and most critically, the athletes themselves are watching it all unfold. The period of silence is over, and the reality of the situation is out in the open. The organization stands at a vital turning point, and the choices made over the next few months will decide if they transform into an international force or wind up as a textbook example of corporate arrogance and pride. Keep your notifications active, because this narrative is only beginning to unfold.